your girl Wanda's GodsBratt of Watching Wanda's World on Wednesdays at 8 o'clock p.m. Tonight I have with me my cousin, Brian Worthington. And Brian is, I'm so inspired by him. I wanted to bring him on because not only am I inspired by him, you know that my hashtag is to empower, uplift, motivate, support, and inspire. Brian, I feel like his story, whether you're male, female, young, old, everybody can get something from his course of life. He could have chosen to go in many directions, and even when he came across obstacles, he still chose a different way. He could have said, "Oh, I didn't get into this, so I'm just gonna go do that." But instead, he said, I didn't get into this, but I'm going to find a way to motivate around that to eventually still get to where I'm trying to go. And that's the message I want you guys to receive is that life is not always going to go according to our plans. It's God's timing and not ours. First, let me apologize for looking like this. And then again, I'm not because this is your girl, Wanda GodsBratt, natural beauty. I do makeup. I am a makeup artist. You know, I'm an affiliate for several brands. But always remember that makeup is to enhance the beauty that you already have and that's already within you, not to cover up and not to make you someone that you're not. So this is what it is. No apologies. Anywho, I'm going to read Brian's bio. So Brian Worthington, my cousin, was born in Queens, New York, and raised in Woodside housing development with his family. At a young age, he discovered his love for flying, but did not know becoming a pilot was possible due to the lack of accessibility and resources. Determined to explore his passion, Brian worked as an aircraft service technician at JFK Airport after graduating high school in 1997, just to be amidst the airplanes. In 1998, he enrolled in the College of Aeronautics and Technology. Brian was originally denied enrollment into the flight operation program, so instead, he opted to enroll into the aviation maintenance program. Dream deferred, not denied. In August of 1999, Brian decided to join the United States Army. During his active years in service, he served as a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division, assigned to the 325th Combat Infantry Parachute Insertion Fighting Force. In 2002, Brian was assigned to the 82nd Combat Aviation Brigade, where he served as an UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter crew chief door gunner. Brian went on to continue his military career in the New York Army National Guard, assigned to the New York Army Aviation Support Facility Number 1 in Ronkonkoma, New York. While serving in the Guard, he held various aviation positions. During his 8 years of military service within the active Army and the Army National Guard, Brian has deployed for combat and peacekeeping missions throughout Europe, the Middle East, and Central America, never losing sight of his passion for flying. In 2003, Brian began taking flight lessons. Shortly thereafter, he earned his private pilot certificate, and later he earned a commercial airplane pilot certificate. While continuing to serve his country, Brian joined the New York City Police Department as a police officer in 2004. In 2007, he earned an honorable discharge from the military, but continued to serve with the police department. In 2010, Bryant enrolled himself back into Bond College of Aeronautics and Technology, where he studied aeronautical science. In 2014, Bryant co founded a nonprofit aviation organization, the New York Metro chapter of the Black Pilots of America, Inc. The organization provides inspirational opportunities and guidance to the underrepresented through awareness, scholarship, and mentorship programs to create the next generation of pilots and aerospace professionals. He began serving as the chapter vice president. Now, Brian is currently in his fourth term as the chapter president. In 2016, Brian joined New York City's minority small business community and launched Flight King New York City LLC, a company that provides the flight training, affordable aircraft rentals, and introductory flights. Due to his hard work, dedication to his community, and extensive experience of aviation, in 2018, Brian was elected to sit on the JFK Redevelopment Advisory Council with a seat on an education committee. After 14 years of service as a police officer on patrol, in 2018, Brian made it into the New York Police Department Aviation Unit. Now assigned to the unit, he serves as one of New York's finest elite helicopter pilots. In 2020, Brian became a team member for Aviation 4 U.S. Flight Academy, where he teaches young men and women the field of aviation. In 2023, Brian landed a position as aviation advisor at Valley Stream Central High School, where he teaches an aviation simulators program. Also in 2023, Brian became the national president of the Black Pilots of America, Inc., a nonprofit flying organization with over 20 chapters throughout the United States. Brian is a New York City police officer, commercial instrument rated airplane pilot, commercial instrument rated helicopter pilot, remote pilot, advanced ground instructor, aircraft owner, minority business owner of Flight King NYC LLC, New York Metro BPA Flying Club Inc., United States Army Veteran Chapter President of New York Metro Black Pilots of America, and the National President of the Black Pilots of America Inc. Do y'all see why I'm smiling? That's my cousin right there. Brian, we talked, but
Yes,
we
yes,
didn't
yes.
talk.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
held some things back on your cousin.
Oh man, that's hilarious. I mean, just first of all, I'd like to say thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on. And when I don't really talk about myself, it's always been a thing that I never really talk about myself. I'm always trying to give back and help other people. So when I hear my own bio being read, I'm sitting back like, wow, I actually did all of that stuff. It's crazy. Yeah.
I was reading and smiling so hard because I felt such immense pride, like I had something to do with it. I'm
Yeah.
proud to be associated with you, let alone call you my cousin.
Man, thank you for that. Thank you. Appreciate it.
So
Definitely.
now I can only understand, especially growing up in the times that you did, that this couldn't have been easy.
Oh,
Tell me
definitely not.
your journey. Like, tell me from a black man's standpoint, the ups, the downs, how you felt, like when you got discouraged, how did you pick yourself back up? And for those young, especially the young men, but anyone that's going through trying to get somewhere and may get set because initially you didn't get in,
Yeah.
but you found other ways. So I'm gonna just let you have the floor.
Yeah, so basically growing up, I grew up in the inner city in the projects, housing development. And the neighborhood that I grew up in wasn't extremely bad, but it wasn't good either,
Hmm.
Um, but comparing other places in New York. But growing up in the projects, most kids, they never actually leave, right? They
Hmm.
never get a chance to explore. Now, where I lived at, you can pretty much see Manhattan, close to where I was at. And you have some kids that never actually went to Manhattan, never went to Brooklyn, never went to the Bronx. And I
Hmm.
was always an explorer. I wanted to see everything, I wanted to do everything, I wanted to go everywhere. So my thing was to get out and explore and find other things to do. So growing up, I've seen a lot of stuff, had my fair share of a little bit of trouble, but
Right.
just always smart enough to kind of weed my way out of it.
Right.
So I remember one time in particular, I was hanging out with one of my friends, and um, they all was getting into a lot of trouble and doing a lot of things, and I actually got picked up and brought to the precinct. So I was brought to the precinct, and the police officers basically telling me, we know what you're doing, and just going through all of this stuff. I know they didn't know anything because I never really did anything out in the open.
Right.
So they was telling me all of this stuff, and they pretty much said that we're going to pick up your friend. We're gonna go and pick them up, and you need to stop hanging with them. And you continue to do what you're doing, then you're gonna get picked up too, and so forth and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So I left the precinct that day. They let me go because they didn't have anything on me, and I went back and I told my friend, like, yo, you need to leave. They're gonna come and get you, and so forth and so on. He, playing tough, didn't want to leave, didn't want to go nowhere. That morning or the next morning, they came and got him, and he got locked up for 13 years. So
Oh,
that in itself, I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to change my life around.
right.
Um, I don't want to be in nobody's jail. I love my freedom, right? And I don't want to die.
Right.
Because the stuff that I was doing is either dead or jail.
Mm-hmm.
So I quickly had to realize I had to turn my life around. So I went and started working, got a job in JFK, and I was loading planes. And I always wanted to fly, or thought that it was very interesting, something interesting to do. I used to see the planes take off and land, and I always wonder where they're going. How's this big piece of metal hanging in the air like that? And
Mm-hmm.
and who's on it, who's flying it? I want to go. I want to go where they're going.
Right.
So basically, after working at JFK and loading the planes, it wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to be in the front, right, not in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still doing a few things and getting into a little bit of trouble. I decided, I'm gonna have to change again, make another change. So I decided to enroll myself in school. But one of the most important things is, as a kid, you don't realize that your junior high school grades, your high school grades, you don't realize that they actually matter, right? And
Right.
I tell people this all the time. Um, what everything we do is for a piece of paper, right? And this might
Mhm.
sound very weird, but everything we do is for a piece of paper. That first piece of paper that we receive is your birth certificate, right? So
Mhm.
you have no control over that. But everything after that birth certificate is all up to you.
Right.
So we would go to school, and we go to school for the first 12 years. That's high school. Why
Yeah.
did we do that? For that piece of paper. You wanted that high school diploma, right? Then
Mhm.
after high school, you'll go to school for 2, 3, maybe 4, up to 6, 8 years. What are you going to school for? Another piece of paper.
Okay.
You're trying to get that degree, that college degree.
Mhm.
Then some people will opt to go into the military. And if they go into the military, what did they go for? That DD 214, another piece of paper,
Mhm.
right? So everything that we do is for that piece of paper. But the most important thing is who determines what piece of paper you receive. And that's you. You
Right.
determine what piece of paper you actually receive, right? And you determine how many pieces of paper you actually receive, right? And then
Mhm.
that goes on to say how many dollars you're gonna receive. That's another piece of paper, right? So
Papers equate to dollars. You right.
exactly. So yeah, so everything we do is a piece of paper, and I try to instill that into the young generation. What you do as a young man or a young woman is going to affect you when you get older. The choices we make in life is always going to affect you when you get older in your adulthood, in your adult life. So be very mindful of the choices that you decide to make. If you decide to be a product of your environment, when you get older, you're going to be a product of your environment, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's basically in a nutshell.
That's one thing. I mentor young ladies from time to time, and that's one thing. Hi, Paula. Thank you for joining, sweetheart. That's one of my sisters. Um, that one of the things that I teach the young ladies that I mentor or whom attach themselves to me within the makeup community, whether I'm mentoring them officially or not, they watch my walk. And
Hmm.
I tell them you don't have to be a product of your environment or your circumstance. You
Yeah.
have choices. You don't have to just because. there's these generational curses and things. You have a choice to say it can end right here with me. I can do better. I don't have to follow XYZ's footsteps, because where did that get them? You
Yeah.
know? And the choices. Hi Denise, thank you for joining. Um, this is my cousin. In case you might have to go back and look at the intro, but he's phenomenal. He's my cousin. He's he is the short and version is he is a police officer that flies helicopters, but he has a whole resume. And he didn't tell me everything, but look at my cheeks. My cheeks are like really hurting for smiling at your resume. Okay.
Wow.
But now during those times when you were faced with like you said, you were like the typical young man growing up in, I guess, a project development, getting into trouble and things of that nature. I'm sure some of your boys was probably like, they wanted to call you soft or weak or whatever because you decided to go another path, or you weren't hard no more, you weren't down no more. How did you face that, or did you face that?
So it's actually funny because I got a text from somebody. My dad just passed away, and people was reaching out, and I got a lot of love from some of the guys, a lot of people from my old neighborhood. And the funny thing is they call me the unicorn. They like, you always took another route, you always took another path. So it really wasn't about being soft, or it wasn't even about that. It was just, I did my own thing. I knew what to do and what not to do, when to do it, when not to do it. And if I was going to get in trouble, I was going to get in trouble by myself. I wasn't going to let anybody else take me down with them. So I was kind of smart in that regard. So it was, again, it wasn't really about being tough or anything like that. It was just not following the crowd. I didn't care that everybody had the Jordans on. All right, well, I'll buy a different pair of Jordans, or whatever it is. I don't care everybody's wearing this. I just wear something different, and that got me to where I'm at now. Not trying to follow. I always want to be a leader and not a follower. And I think that's very important.
I know a little something about you, Worthington men. I know a little something about, because that's one thing I can say about E2. He doesn't care what the next person's going to do. He's going to set his mind to what he's going to do, and he's going to make it happen.
Yeah, yeah,
And
absolutely.
whether he succeed or whether he fails, he takes ownership for it. Like he's a
Yes,
real man about it. I am so proud of the men that you guys are. Like really, like your family men, you taking care of your family. Y'all not perfect, but y'all are good men. You know.
yeah.
And now, how many years collectively were you in the military again?
8 years total. Yeah.
8 years. Okay. Now, how were you while you were in the military and everything? You still had your eyes set on becoming a pilot. Were you still? Did you at one point say, "Well, I'll just make the military my career and let that go," or was that pilot thing still like gnawing at your soul?
So just to take you back a little bit to kind of explain that military route. um, I wasn't really doing well in school. Well, I was doing okay, right? When I first applied to go to school and I applied to the mechanical program, I was doing okay, but my grades in high school were horrible. And that's the reason why I couldn't get into the pilot program.
Okay.
So still getting into things, and have I was working overnight and then having to go to school. And the weird thing about it is my parents, my father, he made a decent amount of money. My mother didn't really make that much. So I on my mother's side, I was able to get financial aid. But then on my father's side, I was not. So
Mm-hmm.
now I couldn't really get any money for school, and I'm not making that much money working at the airport back then. So it was rough, so I'm still trying to make ends meet and do whatever it is that I'm doing. So I decided, what, maybe I should go to the military. And I go to the military, they pay for school, it would change my life around, maybe, possibly, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I just said, what, you'll get these calls, and I'm quite sure all the young men and maybe the young women get these phone calls, and you'll get a call from the army, you'll get a call from the marines, you'll get a call from Navy, and so forth and so on. So I was getting a lot of calls from the army and the marine corps. And I would tell the Marines that I joined the Army. I tell the Army that I joined the Marines so they can leave me alone. So one day I just decided, you know what? I'm gonna walk into the recruiter station, Army recruiter station, and I told them to sign me up. I don't care, just sign me up. So they said, what is it that you want to do? I said, if you put me around the airplane, I'll be good. So anything you do, just put me around the airplane, or put me in the aviation, environment. I'm good to go. So they all started laughing, and they like, yeah, you want to be around planes? I was like, yes, you put me around planes, I'm good. They said, okay, they gave me a job, and then they said, we're gonna send you to airborne school. So I was like, airborne school, what's that? It's gonna be around airplanes? They said, yeah, and they continue to laugh. So I said, all right, cool. When I got into the military and I realized what airborne school was, that was jumping out of planes. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
That ain't what I said. I was asking you.
I'm like, hold on a second. Yeah, time out. Time out. Can we do this over again? You know, so but the weird thing about it is jumping out of airplanes was one of the best things I ever did in my life. I absolutely loved doing it. When I got out, I continued to do it a little bit, so I absolutely love to do it. And it completely changed my life around for the better. So going into the military and seeing people get shot, this is back home, seeing people get shot, seeing run away from gunfire and all of this stuff. Now when I got into the military, I'm like, man, going to some of these third world countries, seeing how other people live, I'm like, man, I didn't have it that bad. Comparing
Mhm.
where I came from to what I'm seeing now. So it just made me appreciate life more. And
Mhm.
being able to appreciate life it gave me that drive to never ever ever give up. So to answer your question, I wanted to be that military aviator. I wanted to be that military aviator bad. But they told me you could take this test, and if you pass the test, you're good to go. If you fail the test, you could take it again. If you fail it one more time, you can never ever take this test for the rest of your life. So
Oh,
I'm like, wow. So that really scared the mess out of me. And I'm like, all right, I went to a couple of classes and studied a little bit. But again, I'm reflecting to me back in the days, the old Brian, right? My high school grades are horrible. I didn't do really well in college when I went. Everything was bad. So I'm like, I'm gonna fail. So I said, you know what? I'm not gonna take the test. So I didn't take the test. I never became that military aviator. But then that stayed in my heart. Like, man, I should have just did it. So when it was time to get off of active duty, the war was going on, and my brother was kept on telling me, "Oh, just leave, just get out." So I decided to get out, but I didn't want to completely leave the military, so I decided to join the National Guard. And when I joined the National Guard, I said, never again will I allow anything to get in my way, to just any kind of roadblock, whatever it is. I have to tackle it, I have to fight it, I have to get through it, right?
mhm.
So I ran into it. When I got out, ended up finding a flight school, and I was like, you know what, my favorite words, sign me up. Right? So so they signed me up, and I went to flight school, and I passed with no problem. I decided to enroll myself back into college, and when I got into college, I became that straight A student. So I'm like, wait a minute, this is weird now. How was my grade so bad back in the days, but now it's like extremely easy? I'm a straight A student, and I
You had a
realized.
passion.
Say again.
You had a passion. Your mindset had
Exactly.
changed, and you were passionate about what you
Exactly.
were studying.
Exactly. So that's all it is. It's a mind game. If you get it in your mind that you can do it, nobody can stop you from, nobody can tell you you can't do something. Of course, if it's a bad thing, then yeah, let them tell you. But if it's a good thing, right? You can do whatever it is that you put your mind to. Never let anybody tell you you can't. There's no such word. Take that word out of your vocabulary. You can do whatever it is that you want to do. So me knowing that and having a different mindset end up making me a straight A student. Craziest thing ever.
I can
Yep.
believe that because for those things that I'm passionate about, I'm a go getter. My makeup, my mentoring, my being a positive person. But if it's certain things like my parents, when I was in school, forced the books. I was a good student, not because I wanted to be, but because I had to be. Like I got a
Yeah.
75 in industrial arts, looking
Okay.
like me with a handsaw.
Yeah.
Okay. But and had like 85s and 90s and hundreds and everything else and got punished for the rest of the semester. So
Wow.
I was sick of school.
Yeah.
I wasn't passionate about that. But for those things that I'm passionate about, you can't stop me. Look at this podcast.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
worrying your nerves, Brian. You did this, Brian. You did that. I'm gonna get you, girl. Dang.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
I'm passionate about it because I've had a gentleman on here that spent over 27 years of his life in jail.
Wow.
When he was on drugs. He was in and out of jail off and on for a period of 27 years. Now this young man is a part of a program called Safe Streets, and he's a site director. And he
Nice.
helps, by the grace of God, he gives God all the glory and praise over the changes in his life. So this is what I try to do. I try
Yeah.
to show people that you don't have to stay where you are.
Yep.
Even if you're making a wrong turn. And then, of course, I bring on motivation. I have my girlfriends with nonprofits and mentoring programs, and people like myself, makeup. Some people like makeup, some people are entrepreneurs, and just you never know. You meet people where they are.
Yeah.
And everybody comes from a different background, and you never know what's going to resonate with whom.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I'm sure that I'm gonna get inboxes, and I'll let you know. They're gonna be like, "Oh, your cousin showed me this, and this," and I'm gonna play it a couple times again. So if somebody missed it, they can see it. I'll send you the link for it and everything. I know
Okay.
you. Brian isn't feeling well, y'all. So I'm not feeling well. One of your sisters does not have on makeup, but it is what it is. I'm still cute.
Tell him. Tell him.
But Brian isn't feeling well and he has to get ready to do something. So I'm not going to hold him long tonight. Brian, I thank you so much for taking the time to come on tonight to motivate my audience. Whether you stay on or not, I'm going to read your bio again for those who might have missed it, because I need them to understand the greatness that is
Yeah.
my cousin. Like, I am so proud of you. Did you see me smiling when I was reading your bio? I just want to
Yeah.
go over Brian's
I did. I did.
bio one more time. Okay, you gotta go, I understand. But
Nah, I can stay around.
okay. So y'all, in case you missed Brian's bio from the beginning, I need y'all to understand that he overcame adversity. He could have been a product of his environment. He could have been in jail. He had a friend that he was hanging with, and he told him, "Man, you need to leave." He chose not to. He ended up getting 13 years. My cousin is a police officer flying helicopters for New York City. Okay. So he was born in Queens, New York, and raised in Woodside Housing Development with his family. At a young age, he discovered his love for flying, but he did not know becoming a pilot was possible. Lack of accessibility of resources. Determined to explore his passion, Brian worked as an aircraft service technician at JFK Airport after graduating high school in 1997, just to be amongst the airplanes. In 1998, he enrolled in the College of Aeronautics and Technology. Brian was originally denied enrollment into the flight operation program, so instead he opted to enroll in the aviation maintenance program. In August of 1999, Brian decided to join the United States Army. During his active years of service, he served as a paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division, assigned to the 325th Combat Infantry Parachute Insertion Fighting Force. In 2002, Brian was assigned to the 82nd Combat Aviation Brigade, where he served as an UH-60 Black Hawk helicopter crew chief door gunner. Brian went on to continue his military career in New York Army National Guard, assigned to the New York Army Aviation Support Facility Number 1 in Ronkonkoma, New York. While serving in the Guard, he held various aviation positions. During his 8 years of military service within the active Army, and the Army National Guard. Brian has deployed for combat and peacekeeping missions throughout Europe, the Middle East, and Central America. Never losing sight of his passion for flying, in 2003, Brian began taking flight lessons. Shortly thereafter, he earned his private pilot certificate, and later he earned a commercial airline pilot certificate. While continuing to serve his country, Brian joined the New York City Police Department as a police officer in 2004. In 2007, he earned an honorable discharge from the military, but continued to serve with the police department. In 2010, Brian enrolled himself back into Vaughn College of Aeronautics and Technology, where he studied aeronautical science. In 2014, he co founded a nonprofit aviation organization, the New York Metro chapter of the Black Pilots of America, Inc. The organization provides inspiration, opportunities, and guidance to the underrepresented through awareness, scholarship, and mentorship programs to create the next generation of pilots and aerospace professionals. He began serving as the chapter vice president. Now, Brian is currently in his fourth term as the chapter president. In 2016, Brian joined New York's minority small business community and launched Flight King NYC LLC, a company that provides flight training, affordable aircraft rentals, and introductory flights. Due to his hard work, dedication to his community, and extensive experience of aviation, in 2018, Brian was elected to sit on the JFK Redevelopment Advisory Council with a seat on the Education Committee. After 14 years of service as a police officer on patrol, in 2018, Brian made it into the New York Police Department Aviation Unit. Now signed to the unit, he serves as one of the New York's finest elite helicopter pilots. In 2020, Brian became a team member for Aviation for Us Flight Academy, where he teaches young men and women the field of aviation. In 2023, Brian landed a position as aviation advisor at Valley Stream Central High School, where he teaches an aviation simulator program. Also in 2023, Brian became the national president of Black Pilots of America, Inc., a nonprofit flying organization with over 20 chapters throughout the United States. Brian is a New York City police officer, commercial instrument rated airplane pilot, commercial instrument rated helicopter pilot, remote pilot, advanced ground instructor, aircraft owner, minority business owner of Flight King NYC LLC, New York Metro BPA Flying Club Inc., United States Army veteran, chapter president of New York Metro Black Pilots of America, and the national president of the Black Pilots of America, Inc. I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Now,
Thank you.
next question before I let you go. If someone wants to learn under your tutelage, do they have to be from New York? So can someone from Baltimore, whatever, come and learn from you? What are the steps, or can you refer them? Because I know that's going to come up.
Yeah, so we have, like I said, well, you read in the bio that we have chapters for Black Pilots of America throughout the United States. So if there isn't a chapter near wherever that person is from. Well, we do actually have a chapter in DC.
Okay.
So so whoever's in Baltimore, if they want to start, training or learning, I can definitely connect them to the chapter in DC. But we also have an online program that some of the other chapters are doing, and it's a weekly program, and they can always jump on Zoom for that. And we have Summer Flight Academy. The Summer Flight Academy, what we do is we send young, I like to call kids young aviators, right? So we send our young aviators to Texas, and in Texas they get 10 hours of flight time and about 40 hours of ground training. And then when they come back, they can, get back with their chapters, and they can continue their training to become an actual pilot. So there's multiple ways. If they want to reach out to me, they can shoot me an email, and we can get them going from there. They can also check out our site, our national website, which we have to update, but it still is live right now, so you can go check out the website. And that, oh yep, yeah.
I'm sorry. I have a girlfriend that just started a mentorship program called the Emerald Village for young men and women. I definitely need your email address because she's not just trying to be, oh, we meet once a month. She's trying to expose them to new things and, that they might not ever experience horseback riding, computer literature, and things of
Hmm.
that nature. I want her to connect with you to get some information. So definitely shoot me your email, even
Yeah,
if it's
we'll do.
her. Okay.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right, baby. I'm not gonna hold you. Thank you so, so very much. I love you to life. And
Thank you.
I can't wait to see you again soon, okay?
Yes, yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you. I'm glad we was able to get it done.
Yes, babe. All right. I love you. Talk to you soon,
I
boo.
love you too.
All
Take
right.
it
Bye.
easy.